after my 11 a.m. time slot, but I'll get it together. My plan is to come to you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, but what I want to do is cover a couple of things here in this talk because, like for actors, one of your main outlets to booking is Zoom, a Zoom audition. Even before you get an audition, if you're meeting with an agent, you Zoom the meeting. And some actors are just not showing up professionally. They are not. And you need the practice. You need an instructor like myself to even teach you how to show up in this little section, this little box that you're in when you Zoom. Do you know I have some actors that come to my free Zoom class and they don't even want to turn on their camera, right? Whereas that was not an option yesteryear because there was no camera to turn on, not from the actor's perspective, because you get in your car and you drive all the way over there when you have an audition. So it wasn't, oh, I don't feel like showing my face today. And like they did this survey, 23% of some young adults, 21 to 25, they went on job interviews where they over Zoom and they wouldn't turn their camera on. Isn't that crazy? They would not turn a Zoom interview trying to get a job. I'm on a job, I got bills to pay, and so on, and yada yada, this, that, and the third, right? And they don't even want to turn on their camera. That's amazing. And they expect to be likable. They're not even showing the interviewer what they look like. That is bizarre. That's bizarre behavior. So actors do it over Zoom, right? I offer these free classes. I do like 4,000 free classes a month. I'm about to cut way back on those real soon, right? Because I have some actors that show up, man, and they just have no couth. They have no etiquette. They really don't. Some of them come to Zoom and they look like this the whole time. Yeah, with their mouth hanging open. Yep. And then some do this, right? Like this is an attractive way to represent yourself, like this with the right. And then some sit way back. You can't see their face, right? One guy, he came. I guess these people call themselves actors, I guess. So he came and he decides to hold his camera. He's lying down on his bed, right? You can see the pillows under his head. And he's holding the camera and he doesn't have a shirt on. I think you think he's Mr. Sexy or something. He does not have a shirt on. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm like, wait, so dude's gonna actually, his camera was on, but it's like, dude's gonna actually do this 60-minute free class, lying down in his bed with no shirt on. And after a couple of minutes, I had enough, and I called him by name because your name's there in the Zoom box. Some people put their first and last, some people only their first, but his name's right there, and people remember your name oftentimes for good reasons, not so good reasons. But I say, listen, young man, you either put your shirt on or you can take off, right? Because it's a free Zoom, and then they don't. So I guess they think they're doing me a favor by coming, and it's their career. That's why I don't know if some of these people that show up are they real actors or are they just fooling around. Is it right? So so he he uh he said, "Oh, sorry about that," right? And then he puts his shirt on, and then I let him stay, right? And just lame. He goes on camera to do an exercise and just no energy, no personality. And it's a character issue. Your talent can take you where your character may not sustain you. A lot of actors spend hundreds of dollars a month on acting classes, and they can work on their character for free. And they will not do it because they think all I got to do is be a good actor. Man, that ain't even half of the battle. There are hundreds of thousands of good to great actors that, for whatever reason, will never see any type of screen, will never appear on any type of screen. So And then some that do never develop the character. So what happens is they end up losing. They lose everything. Y'all see it on 6 o'clock news, 11 p.m. news. Y'all see it, right? People that have everything, and then other people watch and say, "Man, he had it made. She had it made. If I had all that, there's no way I'd lose it." Yeah, but you have to check your character because you don't know sometimes. Sometimes you don't know what you might do until your character is questioned, right? So I've discovered now 51 mistakes actors make when they Zoom audition. You know, I started doing Zoom during the pandemic because I had to close my studio because people were afraid to assemble together. So I began to do these Zoom classes, and I just started noticing, just based on my coaching expertise, all those prior years, all those 20 plus years. And I'm like, man, this just not correct. What these actors are doing on Zoom, it's just not correct. And some of it's nerves, and some of it's just someone not telling them, hey, you can't do that. I had one young lady come to the Zoom, and don't get me wrong, it's not all bizarre people coming to my free Zoom. So please don't come looking for entertainment necessarily. But I had one person, and she she turns on the camera, right? And I'm starting to Zoom. And then she gets up and goes in her kitchen and doing something in the oven. And I could just see her in the background, just, the oven in the background. She opened up the oven door and pull out some turkey or something. I don't know what that was, right? And she's doing her thing and taking a look and putting it back in there. And I'm trying to stay focused on my free Zoom. And I just eventually said, hey, maybe you should Zoom back in when the turkey's done or whatever. I'm trying to kind of lightheartedly pull her coattail. And she's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay. And then she kind of straightened up from it. And then another guy, he was fixing his bed. He turned the Zoom on. I start the class, right? And he's I can see him off by his bed. He's like folding his bed covers or something, doing something over there. And then I just kicked him out of the room. I Some men, yeah, I'm a little biased. Some men, I just have no patience for them. I just have no patience. I mean, there's different factors involved in that, but friends, see, and I tell some of them, if I was a casting director or a director, somebody you recognize, some name, some person you feel you really needed to get ahead, see, then the actor wouldn't do that. They would not do that. Just like when we was little kids and we walked by a church and you don't curse in front of the church, right? When you walking with your friend, well, maybe they don't do that today. I don't know. Maybe they're on them little annoying scooters. But back when I was a kid, you just knew the code, man. You walk by a church, you don't curse. Some you don't even talk. You wait till you clear those church grounds, and then you can start talking again, right? And so that people know better, but they don't do better. They used to say, when people knew better, they do better. Absolutely not true. Absolutely not 100% true. Not even 50% true. Just watch the 6 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news. Them folk know better what they're doing. They know better, but they don't do better, right? I know that rhymes, but it's just not true, right? Not 100%. I don't even think 50% true. Some people unknowingly do things they're not supposed to do. Okay, so we'll account for a small percentage. But the rest, man, especially this situation, don't come to the Mike Pointer guy and it's like, oh, I don't have to respect him. I don't have to pay attention. I could just keep turning my camera off. Another person keep moving. Like they picked the camera up and walked through the hallway, and now they're in here. And then they walk through here, and then they stop for a minute, and then they turn to the side, and I could tell they're over here doing something else, right? It's crazy. But if I were an agent, they're in an agent meeting, I don't think they do that, right? If they did, then the agent would just cancel the meeting. It'd be like, bye, right? If it was a casting director, if it was a director, anybody, they know that they're going to have to show some respect to. And so humans have this, I don't know, or maybe it's just North Americans, I don't know. We have this faulty idea called you have to earn my respect. That's so backward. That is so backward. And where does that come from? Who started this nonsense of you have to earn my respect? It comes from the military, corporate America, rankings in corporate America, and it comes from sports, right? And there's one other category. I wrote about it in my book, my mental health book. Yeah, this is my fifth book. Yes, I got three more to write, and then I'm done, right? Unless I'm so inspired to do another one, a ninth one, right? But it comes from the military. So you had to earn a respectful rank in the military out of boot camp. Yeah, oftentimes soldiers felt disrespected when they went to boot camp. And then, you earn your stripes, right? Athletic. Some people, they didn't respect Michael Jordan in the beginning, young rookie, right? And then he started working his way up. And so he earned the respect of the other. Corporate America, you come in entry level, the lowest salary possible. And then next thing you know, you're running the company. In those situations, you earned respect. And it's not to say that they disrespected those people either, right? It's not that the other NBA players bullied Michael Jordan or punched him or whatever, or spit on him or whatever. Same in the military. The drill sergeant doesn't punch you in the eye or jump you or whatever, right? Same for corporate America, right? So there was still respect there. So these clowns that believe you have to earn your respect. Okay, so then what's the middle ground then? Is there any? Oh, so then if not, I guess then that means I could just disrespect you then until you, like, what's the opposite of respect? Is it disrespect? I believe so. And if it's not, y'all please tell me. Tell me, because I'd like to be enlightened on this, right? So for me, as far as I know, the opposite of respect is lack thereof, disrespect. And so I'm supposed to do something to earn that. So what do I do to earn? So you disrespect me, and then I ask you or go out of my way to try to discover what do I have to do to get you not to treat me this way, right? And what if it's two people that say that about each other? You got to earn your respect with me. Well, you got to earn your respect with me. Then where does that go? Y'all, if y'all know, put it in, let me know. Where does that go? So, bottom line is, friends, it's all nonsense. You respect people until give them at least a base level of respect. And then when they do something that you don't approve of, or they cross you, do something against you, cheat you or whatever, or you see them out there wild and behaving all crazy, then your respect may be lowered. But initially, come on, right? So, I'm gonna be covering some of these subjects because this stuff's pitiful. This is pitiful, and y'all's uh, y'all's little coaches, y'all's weak coaches, y'all's dishonest coaches won't teach you this. They won't. Either they don't care, or like I tell you on the free Zoom, they don't actually want you to book work. Come to my free Zoom. Just go to my website, heyisawyoucommercial.com. The new dates are posted for this month. And there's a reason that some coaches, not all, but some, I want to say the majority of them, there's a reason that most of them don't want you to work. They don't. It'll be detrimental to their business if you start working. I'll break it all down. A whole bunch of other good goodies too. But work on some of these Zoom ideas because I believe some actors just don't know any better. Some they don't. They're not thinking that people are always watching. They're watching. They're evaluating. Even your peers. It was funny. And then I'm gonna go. Listen, one of my clients. We were in class last night. Robert, and there was another client, Maurice, and Maurice was having trouble with his phone. Like he kept going out and coming back in, and then he'd leave the room, and then I'd look and I'd let him back in the room, and he was having trouble with his phone. So he came back, and then it was his turn to do his copy, and it's like, I'm sorry, Coach Mike, my camera, just this and that, my phone, just this and that, and my other client, Robert, actually told him, hey, Coach Mike, is it okay if I give my laptop to Maurice, I'll just give it to him for free. He said, because I'm about to get another one. Is it okay? Can you secure for me his email and I'll get his address so I can just mail it to him for free, right? That's because Maurice has good character in the class. That's why, right? Maurice has, he's a good young man. And Robert was checking him out, right? And wants to help him. Robert's a little, maybe has a few years on me, probably, but and I'm 62. But it's one of them things, man. Everybody's watching. They're checking you out. Some of your greatest blessings could come from another fellow actor. Yep. Something to keep in mind. All right, friends. So I'll be back at y'all again Monday. And I remember one of the first times I did this. I got to get my audience to engage because there were some people popping up and they were saying, "Hey, Coach Mike." "Hi, Coach Mike." And I was like, wow. And so I know I've done 2 of these talks so far. And I looked and it said no views. So I got some discovering to do. How do I get, and I know the veteran YouTubers, they're going to say, just keep showing up, keep showing up. And I will because I have so much material. I don't know if there's anybody in the acting world that has all the material that I have. And I'm gonna be sharing with y'all my personal development ideas too. Ideas out of this book, ideas on confidence building, ideas on it's just so much info that I now want to start sharing. And sometimes my backdrop might be a little different. You may see me on my other backdrop, my personal development backdrop, the mic point, but I will be here, and hopefully we can start engaging again, and this will be wonderful. All right, okay, friends. Listen, I will see you again Monday around 11 a.m. All right, friends. If you have any questions, you want to email me at yourcommercialcoach@yahoo.com, or maybe there's some avenue here. Remember, y'all, I'm green at this YouTube thing. I can learn some ideas from my son. I'm green at that. I just have great messaging, right? I got some great ideas to share with you. I don't know, about all the technicality of this stuff. I have to learn. So y'all feel free to help me and like it. That's right. I'm supposed to say, please hit the notification and like and share and all that and do all that groovy stuff that y'all know they say the YouTubers are supposed to do. And then it's gonna get to a point where I'm gonna become so good at this, and y'all gonna say, Coach Mike, I remember when you first started doing YouTube, you were so green, you didn't know what to do. And I'm gonna say, yeah, and that's what showing up and growth can do in your life. So that's why I'm sharing these ideas, so you can do the same thing. So, iron sharpens iron. I like smart people. I like people that know more than I do. Because that's how you learn. That's all I know is people, when I was a little baby, I didn't know anything, couldn't even hold up my own head, right? And didn't know my left hand, I didn't even know this was a hand. I didn't know that was a foot. I don't want to show you all my foot, but I didn't know what that was. You ever see baby put their foot in their mouth, right? They ain't even talking yet and putting their foot in their mouth, right? Because they don't know the difference. You got to teach them. So I'm appreciative that there's other human beings on planet Earth that know more than I do. That's great. All right, friends. We'll see you Monday. All right, bye for now.